The morning started quiet. Eleanor sliced an apple for her granddaughter, Lily, before school. Lily was cheerful, humming a song from a cartoon. Then her small face went pale. She pressed a hand to her stomach and staggered. "Gran, I feel dizzy," she whispered. Eleanor caught her, but Lily's knees gave out. Her head fell against Eleanor's shoulder like a rag doll. Eleanor dialed the ambulance with shaking hands. The operator's calm voice guided her through the minutes that felt like hours. "Check breathing. Keep her on her side, talk to her. Don't let her sleep." Lily's eyes fluttered. Eleanor kissed her forehead and kept talking, anything to hold her here. The siren finally screamed down the street, and men in uniforms rushed in with a stretcher. Eleanor rode beside her, clutching Lily's tiny hand, whispering, "I'm here. I'm here. I'm here." The ICU felt colder than winter. Machines beeped. Nurses moved fast. A doctor with tired eyes explained that Lily's condition was serious. They would run tests, watch her closely, and do everything they could. Eleanor nodded, but her mind was a storm. She wanted to be brave for Lily. She wanted Daniel, Lily's father, to walk through the door and say, "Mom, I'm here. I'll handle it." She called him. Straight to voicemail. She called again. And again. She texted, "Emergency. Lily in ICU. Call me now." No reply. Eleanor tried Vanessa too, Daniel's new wife. Vanessa always had her phone in her hand, even at the dinner table. No answer there either. Eleanor swallowed the ache and pressed her palms together. "Please," she prayed, "just let my son be a father today." A nurse named Ruth tucked a warm blanket around Eleanor's shoulders and spoke softly. "Grandma?" she asked. "Yes," Eleanor said. "You can stay right here," Ruth said. "Talk to her. She'll hear you." So Eleanor told Lily stories, about the little garden outside, about how the ocean smelled when they visited last summer, about the night Lily begged to sleep in the living room fort and snored like a kitten. As she spoke, Eleanor kept watching the numbers on the monitor, as if words alone could hold them steady. Hours crept by. Eleanor's phone buzzed at last. Her heart jumped. Daniel? It was a notification from social media. She almost ignored it, then her thumb moved on its own. The screen opened to Vanessa's story, a video of the Eiffel Tower sparkling against a midnight sky. Laughter. Champagne. A swipe cut to bags from luxury stores. A caption in gold letters, "Paris, Day 1." Eleanor's chest went tight. She watched again to be sure. In one frame, Daniel's arm slid into view, the watch she had given him for his last birthday catching the light. He was smiling. His daughter was in the ICU, and he was smiling in Paris. The room shrank around her. For a moment, Eleanor couldn't feel her hands. She put the phone down and breathed. In. Out. She looked at Lily, so small under so many tubes, and felt an old steel rise inside her. The same steel that carried her through the years when she worked 2 jobs after her husband died. The same steel that helped her pay for Daniel's college. The same steel that rocked a colicky baby at 3 in the morning because her son said he was too tired. She called Daniel again. Straight to voicemail. She typed, "If you don't call in 5 minutes, I will never forget this." She set the phone face down and stroked Lily's soft hair. The clock ticked. 5 minutes passed. 10. Nothing. A resident came by with forms. "Do you have insurance cards? Emergency contacts? Anyone we should call?" "I'm the contact," Eleanor said, steady now. "I'll sign everything. I'll be here." She filled out pages with careful handwriting. The resident thanked her and hurried away. Eleanor went to the restroom, washed her face, and saw a tired stranger in the mirror. "Stay strong," she told the stranger. Back at Lily's bed, she remembered something small but important. Last week, Daniel had asked for her spare credit card, just for a hotel deposit on a work trip. He had promised to bring it back in 2 days. He hadn't. Eleanor had let it slide because arguing with him kept her away from Lily. Now her memory pricked like a thorn. Ruth returned with a cup of tea and a gentle smile. "Any news from Dad?" "Not yet," Eleanor said. "He's traveling." Ruth's eyes softened. She didn't push. "We're doing all we can. She's a fighter." Eleanor sat again and prayed. She prayed for Lily's lungs, for her heart, for the small fingers that always curled around Eleanor's necklace when she fell asleep. She prayed for Daniel too, even though anger throbbed under her ribs. She prayed that whatever had hardened his heart would crack open, just long enough for him to come home. Evening settled. The ICU lights dimmed. Outside the window, the sky went from gray to black. Eleanor's phone buzzed once more. This time it was a text from the hospital billing office. If you need help arranging payment, please visit the desk. She nodded. She had savings. She had always kept a quiet safety net for Lily, a promise she made to herself the day the child was born. Eleanor walked to the billing desk while Ruth watched Lily. The woman behind the window spoke kindly. We'll process the insurance tonight. There may be costs not covered. We can set up a deposit. That's fine, Eleanor said. I can handle it. She reached for her wallet, then felt her phone vibrate with a bank alert. She glanced down. Alert, transaction approved, for €1,980, Avenue Montaigne, Paris. Another buzz. Alert, transaction approved, €2,450, Rue Saint-Honoré, Paris. Another. Alert, withdrawal, €1,000, ATM Champelicis. The screen blurred. She closed her eyes, then opened them again. The messages remained. Eleanor's breath came short, not from fear now, but from a cold, clean anger. She thanked the clerk and said she would be right back. She returned to Lily, kissed her forehead, and sat down. Her hands were steady when she opened her banking app. She tapped through the accounts she had built over a lifetime of saying no to herself and yes to her family. Numbers that used to bring comfort stared back like empty rooms. Transfers, purchases, cash withdrawals. All in Paris. All today. Eleanor folded her fingers around the phone. For a long moment, she watched Lily's chest rise and fall with the machine's gentle rhythm. The steel inside her locked into place. She did not cry. She did not shake. She pressed the contacts icon and scrolled to a name she had not called in years. Mr. Whitmore. Her lawyer. She hovered over the call button, breathed once more, and looked at Lily. I've got you, she whispered. Gran is here. Then Eleanor pressed call. Mr. Whitmore answered on the second ring. His voice was calm, the way a lighthouse is calm in bad weather. Eleanor? What's wrong? It's Lily, she said. ICU. And Daniel, he's in Paris with Vanessa. He has my card. My accounts are empty. I'm getting alerts every few minutes. I'm listening, he said. We'll act now. He asked for details, bank names, card numbers, and he shared access. Eleanor read from the screen with a steady voice. He didn't waste words. Good. First step, freeze everything Daniel can touch. Then revoke him as an authorized user. I'll start the paperwork from my end. Can you stay on the line while I connect the bank? Yes, she said, glancing at Lily's small chest rising under the blanket. I'm here. They started a three-way call with the credit card company. The agent asked security questions, and Eleanor answered them one by one, her mind clear. Foreign transactions today in Paris? The agent asked. Yes, Eleanor said. Unauthorized. I never approved them. We'll freeze the card now. Dispute forms are on the way to your email. Pending charges may be reversed once we investigate. You can also remove the authorized user immediately. Remove him, Eleanor said, and the words hurt like a pulled tooth. Now. It's done, the agent said. We've placed a travel block as well. Any new attempt will decline. When the call ended, Whitmore spoke softly. You did the hard part. It doesn't feel hard, Eleanor said. It feels like breathing. I'm emailing you my fraud safeguard packet, he said. Remember when we set it up after your husband died? Durable power for finances. Emergency clause. You sign, I act. If there's suspected financial abuse, I can trigger freezes and notify institutions on your behalf. We planned for a day we hoped would never come. Eleanor closed her eyes, surprised by the memory. The small meeting room, the pen in her hand, Whitmore telling her that love and caution can live together. Send it, she said. I'll sign now. Ruth stepped in to check Lily's lines. Her numbers look steadier, she said. You're doing so well, Gran. Eleanor nodded and signed on her phone with careful strokes. She heard the soft whoosh of emails going out, banks, the credit union, the brokerage account, even the safe deposit box notice to the branch manager. Locks sliding into place, one by one. Another alert flashed on her screen. Attempted purchase €8,700, declined. A second later, attempted cash withdrawal, declined. Eleanor pictured a glittering counter, Vanessa's smile faltering, Daniel patting empty pockets. She did not smile. She tucked the phone away and looked at Lily instead. At the billing desk, Eleanor spoke with the clerk again. I can make a deposit from my credit union account, she said. Daniel had never had access to that one. She had kept it small and quiet for years. The clerk processed it quickly. Thank you, the woman said. We'll focus on her care. If you need a social worker to talk through costs later, we'll arrange it. Please do, Eleanor said. But right now, Lily is the only thing that matters. Back in the ICU, Whitmore called again. Fraud alerts filed. Cards frozen. I also placed a temporary fraud alert with the credit bureau, so no one can open accounts in your name. If you choose, we can file a police report to document the unauthorized use. It helps with the disputes. Eleanor's fingers tightened around the phone. It's my son. I understand, he replied gently. A report records facts. You can decide later what you want to do with it. For now, it protects you. Send me the link, she said. I'll file it. A quiet choice, shaped like love. Protect the child, protect the home, even if it meant admitting her son had crossed a line he could not uncross. As she filled out the online form, Ruth draped another warm blanket over her shoulders. Any change? Some, Eleanor said. Not in Lily's room. Out there. She nodded toward the world beyond the glass. Her phone buzzed again, but this time it wasn't the bank. It was a shaky, glossy video on social media. Vanessa twirling in a boutique mirror, a saleswoman clapping, Daniel behind the camera. The caption read, Paris Hall. But halfway through the clip, something changed. The saleswoman stopped clapping. Vanessa's smile cracked, small lines showing at the corners of her mouth. She turned to the register. The audio caught a word in French Eleanor didn't fully understand, but the shape of it was universal, declined. The video cut abruptly. Eleanor locked her screen and looked at Lily's monitors instead. A nurse hummed while adjusting tubing. The sound smoothed the hard edges in Eleanor's chest. She reached for Lily's hand and spoke softly, simple words, the way you speak to a child who might hear you from far away. It's okay, sweetheart. Everyone who loves you is here. We're not leaving. Whitmore texted an update, airline notified, no changes allowed from stolen cards. Bank initiated recall on the wire transfer you didn't authorize. Branch manager confirmed safe deposit box is restricted. Another line followed, call me if Daniel contacts you. Say nothing about the details. Just tell him to speak to me. Eleanor typed back, understood. Thank you. She slipped the phone into her bag and sat quietly. The worst of the storm, she realized, wasn't the money. It was the moment a mother understands that love does not mean saying yes to harm. Hours stretched again. The ICU lights hummed. Eleanor stood to stretch and asked Ruth, Can I bring Lily her giraffe? The small one with the crooked ear. We disinfect plush toys, Ruth said with a smile. Bring it in a plastic bag, and we'll make it safe. Eleanor's heart softened at the thought. It helps her sleep, she said. Then we'll make sure it's here, Ruth replied. On her way to the restroom, Eleanor passed a window and saw her reflection. Older, yes, but unbroken. She thought of the years she had carried Daniel through every late fee, every lost job, every story he told that didn't quite match the facts. She had always believed there was a better version of him waiting just beyond the next apology. Maybe that version still existed. Maybe it didn't. Either way, Lily needed a protector right now, not a dream. When she returned to the bedside, another alert flashed, then another. Each one a refusal. Each one a door closing on the trip that should never have happened. The phone stilled at last, as if even it was tired. Ruth dimmed the light and spoke in a quiet voice. Try to rest a little. I'll be right outside. I will, Eleanor said. She didn't lie to herself. Sleep wouldn't come. But peace, a thin, workable peace, settled over her. She took out a pen and the back of an envelope and wrote a short list in neat letters. Bring Lily's giraffe. Call social worker. Keep records of all alerts. Breathe. She underlined the last word twice. Then she folded the paper and closed her eyes, not to sleep, but to listen to the steady, stubborn music of Lily's breathing. Somewhere across the ocean, a pair of people were learning what no sounded like when it finally arrived. Here, in a small room that smelled of antiseptic and hope, a grandmother sat very still, ready for whatever came next. Her phone began to vibrate on the tray table. She looked at the screen, let it ring once, twice, 3 times, and slid it closer with 2 fingers. She was ready to answer. The call came just past midnight. The ICU was silent except for the rhythmic beeping of machines. Eleanor had been dozing in the chair, her hand still wrapped around Lily's. The vibration of her phone pulled her awake. On the screen glowed a name she once longed to see, Daniel. For a second, her chest squeezed. Maybe he had finally realized. Maybe he was calling to ask about his daughter. Maybe, just maybe, he cared. She answered. Mom. His voice was frantic, broken by background noise, Vanessa shouting, traffic, honking horns. What the hell did you do? Our cards don't work. The hotel's demanding payment, and the store just humiliated Vanessa in front of everyone. They said decline, do you hear me? Declined. We're stuck here with nothing. Eleanor sat straighter. She looked at Lily's pale face, then back at the phone. I did what I had to, she said quietly. You ruined us. Daniel screamed. Vanessa is losing her mind. She's throwing things. Do you understand what you've caused? How could you embarrass me like this? Behind him, Vanessa's voice sliced through the air. Tell her she's disgusting. How dare she leave us like this? I want my things, Daniel. I will not live like a beggar. Eleanor listened for a moment, then said, Your daughter is in the ICU. There was silence. For a heartbeat, she thought the line had dropped. Then Daniel said flat, Don't try to guilt me. Her throat tightened. Guilt you? Lily almost died in my arms. I begged you to call. You were shopping in Paris while she was connected to machines. You emptied my accounts to pay for your trip. And you think this is about guilt? You always exaggerate, Daniel snapped. She's fine, she always bounces back. Vanessa needed this. We needed this. Do you have any idea how hard it is to keep her happy? Do you have any idea what she expects from me? Eleanor's voice stayed calm, though every word burned. She expects more from you than your daughter ever did. Lily just wanted her father. There was a crash in the background, followed by Vanessa's wailing. Daniel's voice shook now. Mom, just transfer something. Please. Just enough to get us home. I swear I'll pay you back. You swore that before, Eleanor said. When you took money for your first business idea. When you drained the savings I kept after your father died. When you promised you'd return the credit card last week. Every promise you ever made was just a rope you cut the moment it held me. Daniel's breathing quickened. Don't do this. You'll regret it. If people find out you left your own son stranded. Eleanor cut him off. If people find out, they'll know the truth. That a mother sat in an ICU, holding her granddaughter's hand, while her son bought champagne in Paris. You tell me, Daniel, who will they pity? Who will they condemn? There was no answer. Only the sound of Vanessa's shrill voice in the background. She's an old witch. She thinks she can control you? She'll crawl back when she needs something. Eleanor felt her lips curve, not in joy but in finality. She said, No, Daniel. I won't crawl. Not again. Mom, please, he whispered now, his anger drained into panic. We don't even have money for food. Vanessa is furious. She's talking about leaving me. Please, just one transfer. Eleanor closed her eyes. She remembered the nights she stayed up sewing extra clothes to sell so Daniel could go on a school trip. The time she skipped meals so he'd never know hunger. The day he graduated and she thought, it was worth it. He'll be a man his father would be proud of. And now she thought, maybe he never learned. She opened her eyes and looked at Lily. She touched the child's soft hand and whispered, more to herself than to Daniel, My loyalty belongs here. Then she raised the phone again. Her voice was cold, clear, final. You chose Paris over your daughter. You chose Vanessa over your family. Now you can choose how you'll survive without my money. Mom, don't hang up. Don't. She pressed end call. For a long moment, she sat in the silence. Her hand trembled, but her heart felt steady. The phone buzzed again, Daniel calling back. She silenced it. Then a flood of texts came in, each more desperate than the last. Please, just this once. Vanessa is screaming at me. Mom, I can't do this. I need you. Eleanor put the phone face down on the table. She stroked Lily's hair and whispered, You don't need me to chase them. You just need me to stay. Outside the ICU window, the city lights blinked. Somewhere in Paris, her son's world was collapsing. But here, in this small hospital room, a new strength was taking root. Eleanor sat upright, shoulders squared, no longer the woman begging for her son's love. She was the guardian of her granddaughter. And for the first time in years, she realized, she wasn't afraid of saying no. The phone buzzed again, then stopped. The silence that followed was the loudest, most powerful sound Eleanor had ever heard. She held Lily's hand tighter and whispered, We're going to be okay. I promise you that. And unlike Daniel, Eleanor kept her promises. Morning light filtered into the ICU through half-closed blinds. Eleanor had been awake all night, but she didn't feel tired. She sat holding Lily's hand, listening to the faint rhythm of the monitor, when her phone vibrated again. Another call from Daniel. She didn't answer. Then a text popped up, Mom, please. Vanessa left the hotel. She says she can't be with a man who has nothing. I'm alone. I need money to get back. Eleanor read it once, her lips pressed thin. She didn't reply. Instead, she called Mr. Whitmore. Good morning, Eleanor, he said. How's Lily? She's holding steady, Eleanor whispered. The doctors say her numbers are improving. But I need to know Daniel can never do this again. I thought you might, Whitmore said gently. That's why I set up those safeguards years ago. All we need now is your word to enforce them. What happens if I enforce them? Eleanor asked. Simple. Any joint assets, accounts, trusts, even the savings you put in his name, shift under your control. He won't be able to withdraw, transfer, or open new credit using your name. If he wants money again, it will only be if you allow it. Legally, he'll have no access. Eleanor sat in silence, staring at her granddaughter's small hand. She remembered the first time she held Daniel in her arms. How tiny he was, how she swore to protect him no matter what. She had kept that promise for 38 years. But he wasn't the boy in her arms anymore. He was the man who left his own daughter in a hospital bed for champagne in Paris. Do it, Eleanor said at last. Shift everything. Whitmore's voice was calm. I'll prepare the documents. He'll have to sign away his claims. If he doesn't, we fight it in court, but given his theft and abandonment, he won't win. I'll make sure of that. 2 hours later, Daniel called again, his voice raw. Mom, Vanessa's gone. I'm sitting on the street. The hotel threw me out. I can't get home. Please, I'm begging you. Just wire something. I'll sign whatever you want. Eleanor closed her eyes. She thought about all the times she had caved in before, handing him money to avoid watching him fall. But every time, he fell anyway and dragged others down with him. This time, she wouldn't rescue him without cost. I'll help you, she said slowly, but not without conditions. You will sign over every claim you have to my accounts. Every right, every card, every bit of authority. You will not touch a cent unless I allow it. Mr. Whitmore will send the papers. Sign them, and I'll wire just enough for a flight home. There was silence, then a choked laugh. You'd do this to your own son? I'd do this to protect your daughter, Eleanor said. And myself. If you want to come home, sign. If not, find another way. On the other end, Daniel cursed under his breath. Then he said, send them. Later that day, Whitmore confirmed the papers were signed. It's done, he said. He has no access now. The accounts, the savings, even the trust you set aside years ago, it's all in your hands. Eleanor wired the smallest amount possible for a one-way ticket home. She didn't ask when he'd arrive. She didn't wait by the door. She stayed in the hospital where she belonged. That evening, Ruth brought in a small bag. Someone dropped this off, she said. Inside was Lily's favorite toy, the stuffed giraffe with the crooked ear. Eleanor pressed it to her granddaughter's hand. For the first time in days, Lily's fingers curled around something with intention. A tiny smile touched her lips even as her eyes stayed closed. Eleanor's own eyes filled with tears. She leaned close and whispered, See, my love? You're not alone. Gran's here. And Gran's not afraid anymore. The phone buzzed once more. A new message from Daniel. I signed. I'll be on the next flight. Please don't shut me out completely. I don't want to lose you too. Eleanor stared at the words for a long time. She thought about replying, then set the phone down without typing anything. Some lessons were better left to silence. She smoothed Lily's hair and held her hand tighter. For the first time in years, she felt free, not because she had punished her son, but because she had finally taken back control. Her loyalty was no longer chained to a man who saw her as a wallet. It belonged to the little girl fighting for her life beside her. And that was enough. The night ended with quiet beeps, soft breathing, and Eleanor's steady voice telling Lily a story about courage. Not the kind found in Paris boutiques, but the kind found in a grandmother's heart when she finally chooses strength over fear. And in that sterile hospital room, with machines humming like distant lullabies, Eleanor knew the truth. She hadn't lost a son. She had gained the power to save her granddaughter's future. You said,